What's going on, guys? This is Hassan from the Spiritual Walks. I hope everyone is doing amazing. In today's video, we're going to be revisiting dopamine detox and fasting. And the reason being is because around 10 months ago, I released a video where I did a 30-day dopamine detox and fasting challenge. And I will link that video somewhere above. Now, given the humble size of my channel, I felt like this video got quite a lot of views and traction, and especially because it's actually Ramadan in a month's time, I thought it would be a good time to visit and talk about how we can prepare ourselves for a dopamine detox slash fast and how we can actually benefit from this. So for those of you who don't know what Ramadan is, it's a month within the Islamic calendar where most Muslims around the world will decide to fast from sunset all the way up until sunrise. And within the fasting period, you are not allowed to eat food and you are not allowed to drink anything, and that includes water. And when it is time to break your fast after sunset, you may eat something light to fulfill the needs of the body and to continue thriving, of course. Even though most people will actually go all out, eat all the food in the world, including myself, until they realize that their stomach has shrunk and they can't eat as much as they used to anyway. So then, to begin, what is the point? Why fast? Why dopamine detox? Why go through that suffering? We love food, we love these activities. What's the point? Now, even though I've touched upon this previously, the simplest way I could put it is that it helps us distinguish between what we need and what we want. And we very easily mix these two together, and they are very different things. So what do we need? We need food to sustain this body, to sustain this life, and to help provide the building blocks for this body, this vehicle to continue. But I guess there's a certain threshold to that. There comes a point where eating certain foods within a particular category may not actually provide the need or the necessity to help this body thrive. It may actually have the complete opposite effect. And then, as a part of that same threshold, there's also the volume of food. You may eat a lot of food that actually does provide the building blocks and the essentials for this body to thrive, but there comes a point where if we exceed that volume, it becomes pointless and actually in fact detrimental. And believe me, coming from someone who really loves food, this is really hard to admit, but it's true. And so that same concept also follows in other activities outside of eating food. So that includes, let's say for example, social media. So social media will release certain amounts of dopamine every now and then. But what happens is that we kind of dissolve the boundary between how much we need it and how much we want it. Now, one could argue that it's not a necessity at all, but it's very well and deeply integrated into our life. So we need to really distinguish the boundary between how much we want social media and how much we need it. And so dopamine fasting, or refraining from that particular activity, taking a step back, actually helps us and shows us how much is appropriate within our life. Now, if your particular career is surrounding social media, it may make sense to actually use it a lot more often. But if you use it because it's a low-key addiction that we are not willing to admit to, then this is the time where we need to step back and challenge ourselves to reorchestrate our life in a way where we clearly know what is it that we need and what is it that we want. And so once we have given ourselves what we need, we may be able to take part in what we want, and that in itself is also within a particular threshold. And so to put that all together, it's essentially clarity. It gives us clarity to maneuver and orchestrate our life in a way where we are optimized for life, funnily enough. Somewhere along my journey, I discovered that what I think about, I eventually become. And what I take part in, I also eventually become. Who I spend time with, I become. And whatever I spend time doing, I become. And with that, it motivated me to be a lot more careful to choose how I spend my time. And so finding that split of what we really need just to sustain life and what we want is a tremendous opportunity to become the greatest version of yourself. So how do we actually take part in a dopamine detox and a fast? Well, I did mention this previously and I will mention it again. The best way is to really tailor the approach that is best suited to yourself. And the best person who knows yourself is you. It's very difficult for me to outline certain things that need to be done. Now, refraining or stepping away from social media for a bit may actually be an obvious one for most of us. However, you know what you feel like you need, even though it's just a want. So if you are overeating, fasting may actually be a way forward. If you watch too many movies or too much Netflix, you may decide to restrict that to a certain amount per week, or you may stop that altogether for 30 days, but you are the best person to decide and to create a plan for yourself. Now, I'm very keen to be in touch with you guys. I respond to all of my DMs on Instagram. Let's do this together. Let's see how we can actually move forward. And we will start somewhere around the 13th of April. Okay, so we're a month from now. And I will try to release a future update on this on Instagram or YouTube. So stay tuned. And aside from that, if you have any more questions, do use the comment section below. Share this with as many people as possible. Let's make this huge. Let's change our lives. Let's become the greatest versions of ourselves. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.